This speech has to be shown to every woke person on the planet. It's brilliant. Comedian and satirist Constantine Tyson recently appeared before the Oxford Student Union to debate the question, has woke culture gone too far? What happened next is an epic response that left woke students absolutely speechless. You are not going to want to miss this.
Now, I want to talk to those of you who are woke and who are open to rational argument. A small minority, I accept. Because one of the tenets of wokeness is, of course, that your feelings matter more than the truth. But I believe in you. I believe there are those of you here who are woke, who are open to rational argument, so let me make one. We are told that your generation cares more than any other about one issue in particular, and that issue is climate change. We're told that many of you suffer from climate anxiety. You wish to save the planet. And for tonight, and tonight only, I will join you. I will join you in worshipping at the feet of Saint Greta of climate change. Let us all accept right here, right now, that we are living through a climate emergency and our stocks of polar bears are running extremely low. I join you in this view. I truly do.
Now, that's a brilliant rhetorical strategy that Constantine is employing there. What he just did is what's known as arguendo. It's a Latin term meaning for the sake of argument. And it's a brilliant move on his part because it allows him to begin by fully embracing, hypothetically, of course, the woke starting point. He and Greta are in total and complete agreement as to the current state of the environment, only to then show that a perfectly rational assessment of that agreed upon situation takes him in a radically different direction than the woke position.
How dare you?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but that's the beauty of the argument. I can start fully agreeing with your foundational premises and yet rationally arrive at radically different conclusions, which at the very least should get you to reconsider yours.
Now, what are we to do about this huge problem facing humanity? What can we in Britain do? We can only do one thing. You know why? This country is responsible for 2% of global carbon emissions, which means that if Britain was to sink into the sea right now, it would make absolutely no difference to the issue of climate change. You know why? Because the future of the climate is going to be decided in Asia and in Latin America by poor people who couldn't give a shit about saving the planet. You know why? Because they're poor. Because they're poor. I come from Russia, which is not a poor country, it's a middle-income country. 20% of households in Russia do not have an indoor toilet. What they have is an outdoor toilet. And I don't mean one of those nice portaloos that we get here. I don't even mean a Glastonbury portaloo. I mean a wooden shack with a hole in the ground that holds a collected fermented memory of the last 10,000 visits. How many of you are going to go home tonight and say, let's rip out our bathroom and erect a Siberian shithouse in the back garden? And if you're not, why should they?
So here Constantine is exposing, he's literally pressing on the very tender part of the radical environmentalist worldview. Indeed, its fundamental flaw. Granting the premises of Greta, we're facing a global warming crisis, not a Britain warming crisis. Britain, which is responsible for 2% of the world's carbon emissions, could disappear into the ocean, and that disappearance would make zero impact on global emissions. Precisely because the problem isn't industrialized Britain, the problem is the industrialized globe. And those nations that have embraced globalization to climb out of poverty are no more going to revert back to those impoverished conditions than you would.
120 million people in China do not have enough food. I don't mean that they don't get dessert. I mean they suffer from malnutrition. That means that their immune system is breaking down because they don't have enough food. You're not going to get them to stay poor. Imagine you're Xi Jinping, the leader of China. When you were 10 years old, there was a revolution, a cultural revolution in your country, and people came and they put your father in prison. Your mother had to denounce him. Your sister killed herself. and you, no longer enjoying the protection of your formerly powerful father, were sent to a village where you lived in a cave house. And here you are, decades later. You have clawed your way up the bloody and greasy pole of Chinese politics to be the undisputed supreme leader of the very Communist Party that destroyed your family. And you know that the main thing you have to do to survive and to stay in power is to deliver the one thing that the people of China want: prosperity, economic growth. Where do you think climate change ranks on Xi Jinping's list of priorities?
Now, what Constantine just said there needs to be underscored here. The Chinese output of emissions in a month negates a year of California's efforts to curb them. This is why the Danish statistician Bjorn Lomborg has argued that even if we did everything that the Paris Accord requires of us, every single thing, spending literally trillions of dollars, the amount of reduction of temperature by the end of the century would be no more than about 0.5 degrees Celsius. China, India, Russia, Latin America, Sub-Saharan Africa, they're not going to go along with this Western-led deindustrialized program, whether anyone likes it or not. So if wokeness is utterly powerless to stop this, then what is the solution? Well, that's exactly what Constantine provides. Hey gang, I've got some big news I'm sharing with my audience at the end of the month, but I can only share it with you who are on my email list. If you're sick and tired of woke news and ready to get a daily dose of conservative optimism that goes way beyond my daily updates, you won't want to miss this news. It's amazing. So before you do anything else, click on that link below and sign up onto my email list to learn about this awesome update. Plus, as an email subscriber, we'll never lose touch with each other. As conservatives are getting silenced by big tech like never before, being a part of my email newsletter guarantees that we'll always stay connected. So don't wait. Click on that link, sign up on my email list, and I can't wait to share the big news with you at the end of the month.
You are not going to get these people to stay poor. You're not even going to get them to not want to be richer. And so, I put it to you, ladies and gentlemen, there is only one thing we can do in this country to stop climate change. And that is to make scientific and technological breakthroughs that will create the clean energy that is not only clean, but also cheap. And no, thank you. And the only, I want everyone to get home on time today, which is not going to happen. And the only thing that wokeness has to offer in exchange is to brainwash bright young minds like you to believe that you are victims, to believe that you have no agency, to believe that what you must do to improve the world is to complain, is to protest, is to throw soup on paintings. And we on this side of the house are not on this side of the house because we do not wish to improve the world. We sit on this side of the house because we know that the way to improve the world is to work, is to create, it is to build. And the problem with woke culture is that it's trained too many young minds like yours to forget about that. Thank you very much.
Again, he's absolutely right here. The West needs to replace its meaningless mandates with good old-fashioned R&D, research and development. When all is said and done, if and when we discover a green energy that's cheaper and more effective than fossil fuels, the problem's solved. Everyone would switch in a heartbeat. Gone is the need for mandates and emissions goals in the West, the effects of which are completely negated by the activities of 80% of the globe's population. China would switch, India would switch. The single most effective long-term climate policy is investment, not mandates. And in the meantime, ironically, the biggest reductions in greenhouse gases are coming from energy-producing red states, conservative states, because they've gone from coal to natural gas. It's time to stop imposing a standard of living crisis in the West in the name of a completely unattainable vision for the environment. We can all agree that there is indeed a crisis, but wokeness in the end makes things only worse. And no one explained that better than Constantine Kitson. As always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. You'll definitely want to check out my latest video on Bill Maher, leaving Neil deGrasse Tyson absolutely speechless on woke COVID hysteria. You're going to absolutely love it. So make sure to click on that link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.